is Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
Hey, greetings. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I am GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back. Today is May the 4th, 2024. May the 4th be with all of you. I hope you guys are doing well. Hope you are having a great weekend. A lot of cool stuff going on inside of Star Citizen, outside of Star Citizen. As I mentioned, today is May the 4th. For those of you who are fans of the Star Wars franchise, this is a day annually that folks get together and celebrate the cultural impact and enjoy the movies and the writing and the books and all the other stuff wrapped up around Star Wars. This weekend, in fact, here in the States, I'm not sure if this is global, but in the States, there was a re-releasing of The Phantom Menace, episode 1, which is 25 years old. For those of you who are young, you're no longer young anymore. If you saw The Phantom Menace, you're getting old. You're a quarter of a century, at least in age. Some of us go back a half century. I can go back to the episode 4, but hopefully you guys are having some Star Wars fun this weekend. I really hope that's the case. Let's see. We're today going to be talking about, well, you know, there was so much stuff that happened this week, right? We had some interesting news that came in from the monthly report. We had cool stuff happen on ISC, and then, of course, SCL was a great conversation on yesterday. And I really wanted to talk about some of those, but I had this topic for this weekend already set aside. I actually put this show up for, I think I had written it all up on Wednesday. And weirdly enough, I watched SCL yesterday, and lo and behold, the subject of soloing and MMOs came up. So whether I guess my psychic powers are still working. But I'm coming from maybe a different perspective than what Richard and I were talking about yesterday. Maybe it's the same. I don't know. But hopefully we'll have a good conversation about this. For those of you who don't know, Soul Voices is our one-on-one conversation where we talk about items from Spectrum, Reddit, things in the Star Citizen community, or just sometimes things that I think are relevant to talk about. And this is going to be one of those days. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, it wasn't months back, several years back in 2022, Soul Citizens did a show called Solo, a Star Citizen Story. We ripped that off the franchise Star Wars, yes. But it was talking about solo gameplay and the idea of it. And obviously on our Sunday show, that's where you guys get to hear what we have to say about it. But I decided to kind of come back to this subject again to talk about solo gameplay, MMO gameplay, Star Citizen's Persistent Universe, and hear what you have to say about the idea of solo gameplay. Believe me, I don't want this to be a show that's ripping into people who want to play Star Citizen solo. Not by any means. I mean, CIG has made it very clear that they're trying to make opportunity for both solo and cooperative play to be a part of the Star Citizen universe. But I do worry that there are people who are bringing their experiences from other games to this MMO or this game, and want to kind of, I don't know, for lack of a better term, make it be a certain way, and not remaining open to the direction that CIG may want to go. There are some people who might be realizing that solo gameplay, maybe they thought it was going to be for them, and maybe now they're finding out that based on how the game is being designed, it's maybe not going to be the way they thought it was going to be. Some people may be disappointed. They may have purchased certain items and backed with certain items and realized that maybe a bit overwhelming. But then there are also people who have been out there putting the scare out, making people feel like they won't be able to do certain things in the game. Citizen Shenanigans, thank you. 32 months. Oh, you're an OG. 32 months. Thank you so much, Citizen Shenanigans. As always, thank you for always being out there to support us. There are people who are putting some stuff out there that may not be true. And unfortunately, sometimes we put things out into the Star Citizen community only based upon what we have in our hand and what we know. And I always say this, there's always so much more we still don't know. Even with the level of transparency that Cloud Imperium gives us, we don't have all the answers. We don't hold all the cards. We don't know what is in place now that maybe 3 years from now will be, iterate into something different, bigger, better. 5 years from now, something even better, And I know that's all we have is what we have in our hands. But sometimes people project things as if this is it. This is the final, this is where it's going to stop. And they spook folk, So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So anyway, today's title for the show is Solo MMO. And again, there will be a link that will pop up for our Discord. You guys are always invited to come in. I would love to see some new faces. Some of you guys have been following us a long time, but y'all shy. Come in, share with us. Come in. We had a new guy, Mikey, a couple weeks ago who came in, shared some stuff. He's been hanging out with us now. Love to hear from all of you. And don't get me wrong, we love seeing what you say in the chat. But this show, it was specifically designed to be voices for you so that you can express your thoughts in the community. You guys get to hear from us on Sundays and all the other stuff. But we really created this show and our Thursday show to be opportunities for the community to share and to talk with us about these topics. So please, don't be afraid to push that link and come into our Discord and talk with us, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get into our very first topic here. Boom. Do you do due diligence? Can you say that 3 times fast? Do you do due diligence? Do you do due diligence? I can't do it. But if you can say that 3 times, you're a winner. Do you do due diligence? I think this is a subject that, as we lead into this idea of solo and MMO, I get a little concerned about sometimes. As you guys know, the Star Citizen universe is a big universe. There's a lot of in-game information, and there's a lot of outside the game information, like a lot of outside of the game information, like 12 years of information that's out there to be absorbed. And that can be a bit overwhelming. Now, some of you old dudes and old hats and old dinosaurs in the room have been here since the very beginning. And so you've been able to take that information in bits and small pieces. And over time, you've been able to get stuff. And in fact, over time, you've probably forgotten half of the stuff, right? But whether you realize it or not, you've taken in a lot of information in regard to Star Citizen, its development, the people that work there, the game itself, right? The workarounds, the shortcuts, all that stuff, right? And then you've got people who've come in just recently, maybe because they just last year saw the CitizenCon, or they saw the Star Engine trailer, or the Squadron 42 trailer, or they've been waiting for a while. They were interested in the game a long time ago, came in, didn't like what they saw, didn't want to deal with the development aspect, and said, I'll come back when it's better or when it's finished. Some people just honestly took a break, right? All those different things. There's a certain level, though, of due diligence that goes with this game. And I think it goes beyond just knowing about the game, right? It goes beyond seeing the trailers. It's going beyond seeing the presentations of CitizenCon. There's a lot of homework, I think, that people in some ways need to do to really understand what this is. And without that homework, I think it can become very frustrating for some people because they ask questions that sometimes have been answered already. Last year or early, it was last year or this year, I was streaming. I can't remember when it was. But I was streaming when I was doing my stream. And I spent some time going back and doing the 10 for the chairman, because a lot of questions that people were asking about, a lot of things that people believed about the development of the game, they thought were new things. They thought these were things that hadn't been answered or problems that had arisen. And many of them were things that Chris Roberts talked about back in 2013 and 2014. Sometimes people would say, oh, it's feature creep. No, it wasn't feature creep. He talked about it in 2013 or 14. Oh, they changed the roadmap and going a different way. No, he talked about it back in 2013, 2014. Do I expect people to go back and watch all of those dusty videos? No, I don't. Do I recommend it? Yes, I do. If you really want to know more about the development, if you really want to have questions answered about why some things are. Now, you may not get every question answered, but you may find out that when you go back and do that due diligence, that there's a lot out there that you say, wow, I didn't realize that this was the scope, or this is what they wanted to do when it came down to this game. So let me talk about that real quick. I want to ask, did you do due diligence, or have you done due diligence, or do you do due diligence now? I actually could say that. Wow. Do you do due diligence now? Or do you just kind of go with the flow? That's another side of the coin, right? So I can take it from either one. So let me bring in, we got a couple people already who want to come in and talk. Let me bring in Pops in Space. Pops, are you there?
Hey, yes, I am.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, yeah. Now, I can't say that title either, but I can say, do you do like I do?
Okay.
Peter Frampton.
Okay.
But, okay. Now, do I, see, I came into the game from Ashes of Creation, and I found out from a lot of negative, the money they raised gave me curiosity, me and my son, like, what is this game? But I got a lot of my information from the negative end of it.
Okay.
The price of ships, and in all of that, we didn't, we don't know. We came in on a free fly. We said, okay, let's see what this does. We couldn't get anywhere, couldn't do anything. We didn't know how to even get out a PO. I believe, if I remember correctly, that's where you spawned in at. And we were like, okay. And then we heard a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. And we said, let's go in the game. And we started talking with people. And people were like, I'm like, well, what am I going to do against when I go up against I think the price of the package was 42, 50, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I going to do against, I have a starter ship, a Mustang. What am I going to do against this $40,000 ship? It was like, oh no, that's not one ship. First of all, I was like, okay. And they said, it's based on kind of a real life situation where you have to put all these people in it. It's not intended to be, your one little ship battling another, whale's ship or anything like that. It's kind of, so I gathered a little bit more and a little bit, and I started to like the project.
Okay.
A lot more. So it depends on who you connect with, which is my first, idea here. Where you get your news from.
Okay. Let me ask you this real quick before you go any further. How did you find out about Star Citizen? Did you hear about it? Did you see a trailer, or was somebody else playing it? Do you remember how you found out about it?
I found out it because of Ashes of Creation mentioned Star Citizen.
Okay, because they mentioned it. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
They mentioned it.
Okay.
They said they were the king and they were number 2.
Gotcha.
And
okay.
it put that question mark in my, what is it?
Right. They made you curious. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. All right, Pops. Thank you much, brother. Appreciate you. All right. Let me bring in Fist to Face next. Don't forget, you guys can come in. Please come in. We'd love to hear from you. Hey, Fist.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay.
All right. So my answer is going to be very much like Pops, because obviously, we both came in at the same time and both had the same mentality about it. I would say today, I'm going to answer the question and say, before I didn't do my due diligence. Today I do. Up until that point of watching the video from, I think it was Digital Trends, who explained the technology as to the reasons why Star Citizen is raising so much money for the game. They broke it down. And when they broke it down for me, it was a 45-minute long video, and I sat there with me and my dad, Pops, and I said, wait a second, okay. So yeah, you can buy 20,000. At the time, was the Goddess package was 20,000. You can have the $20,000 package, but you can be in a javelin, and if you're just you, it's a flying paperweight. And I said, wait a second. Oh, this changes the whole landscape of the game. You know, because my view of games, like, unfortunately, my view of games where you can buy packages like that, because I came from a pay to win atmosphere in MMOs.
Right.
Unfortunately, Asian MMOs are very notorious for that. So, you know, I've seen where, you know, folks come in and drop, you know, a bunch of money in the game and just so they can have the top. But that's another story. But today, to answer the question, yes, I do my due diligence.
Okay, very cool. All right, Fist, appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, he's right. Let me bring in, I'm not sure who was up next, but before I bring anybody else in, I do want to read something here that a couple people put in. Randy over on YouTube, the Salmon Moose Morris. I love it. I think the due diligence, quote unquote, is the reason I backed in 2016 rather than during Kickstarter or thereabouts. Yeah, I think to a degree, Randy, I'm kind of the same. I found out about the Kickstarter. I heard about it. Then when I came and checked it out, it had just ended like a week. I was like a week after it ended, something like that. Right. And then I kind of hung around for a little bit and I saw it and I thought it was curious. I didn't understand the website. The website was kind of crazy back then. Y'all think it's crazy now. It was really crazy back in 2012. And then over that next year, I started like absorbing things and watching things. And when I started doing the due diligence on it and I started to understand what it was, because the Kickstarter just really didn't give me enough, then I kind of felt way more comfortable with doing that, you know. Mad Style says gamers today do not have the time for due diligence or know what it is. And Mad Style, that's probably true. I'm not gonna say that they don't have the time. And I'll tell you why they don't have the time. Because they have time to play the games, right? They have time. They just don't want to do it. Because they got plenty of time to play a game, but they won't make time. But and mind you, I think that in some cases that's all right, because some games are pretty straightforward and, you know, it's what you see, it's what you get. It's already there. You don't have to take a lot of time. You can look at a trailer. You can determine whether it's the genre you like, if it's something that type of gameplay you want to do. But then when you get into games like this, where you're talking about people who want to spend a tremendous amount, and I want to, but they might end up spending a tremendous amount of money, I think due diligence is required. You know, I think that if they come in with that, what you see is what you get attitude in this game, they could end up getting their feelings hurt later on. But that's that. At least when I think about that. Let's bring in, let's see who we got here. We've got Togi and Admiral Kusanagi. So I'm going to bring Togi in. I'm not sure who was first. Hey, Togi.
What up?
There he is. I was waiting for it. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm getting tried at the moment.
Oh, okay.
So I needed to find a second player.
I understand.
So I did do due diligence, right? Okay. I watched a bunch of videos.
Okay.
And you know what I noticed? That the community is so polarized about what is right that it's pointless. I watched a bunch of videos from people and they were like, oh, it's a scam. It's the worst thing ever. Everyone's dumb that backs. And then I saw the White Knights and I didn't know who to believe. And I was like, well, the people saying the nice things seem like nice people, so I'm going to believe them. And you know what? They were both wrong. And so this brings me to that old point that we talk a lot about players' due diligence, to do the research, to find out what the game's really like, and try not to talk about CIG's due diligence in telling players what the game's really like. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I think we need to find a lot more of.
Yeah, I'll buy that. You know, this gets outside of the gaming world. We can just talk about as consumers, right? If I go buy a car, I walk into a car dealership, I see the car, and there's a certain dynamic of me. I hate to say this because car dealers kind of have a reputation, but there's a certain dynamic that says, here's the guy who works here. We know his job is to sell me this car, right? But my hope is that he is telling me truthful things about the car. And he's not there to represent me. He's actually there to represent the car dealership, right? But there's a certain amount of, we would hope that people would do. We used to do things like, I'm old school, y'all. reading consumer reports, talking to people, looking at a track record of a manufacturer. There were things like that you did even outside of before you went into the dealership to kind of, so that you could feel like you just made somewhat of an educated decision about something, that it wasn't reactionary. It wasn't because the car was red and I've always wanted a red car, or it had a great stereo, and not get caught up on all that stuff. And so as consumers in general, like I said, you can talk about this across the board, whether you're buying a refrigerator or a freaking ship, there is a certain amount that we have to do as consumers to be responsible for. There can be always those hidden things that we don't find out about till later. We get it. We're not going to absorb all the information. But Togi, I think you raise a really, really, really good point in that. Really good point. Thanks, brother. Yeah. All right. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, you there?
Yes, sir. I am.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good.
So one thing is the due diligence is what I do in work overall. I write contracts for a living. My job to make sure that I'm getting you and everybody who's listening to this a good deal, if you're at least in the United States. So I have to look at proposals and stuff like that. I have to do, I have to dig into the paperwork of what we're getting into.
Right.
And this goes with Star Citizen. I'm like, what am I getting into here? What's the lore about this? What is this? What's the purpose of this ship? I don't buy a ship now for its looks. I look at what's the capabilities of this ship, this new ship that's on concept shell. Do I have something that's similar to this right now? Like, would I'm not gonna be able to fly both of them. Would it be better if I just got rid of one or the other one, or so forth? So I think if people like, there are people out there who have like every ship in the game, and there are people who buy large ships because they think they can sold them. I think we're getting into this further on, but it's people's concepts of like, coming from Eve and Elite Dangerous and other space games, and thinking of like how this MMO is going to react to them as a sole human being, when in reality it's a greater scale MMO that haven't really seen. I mean, like just the whole, every aspect of this game I think is just going to be like really, really in depth. And there's a couple things of course, I dislike about it, but there's things that really are on track of what they've said originally. The cargo thing that's coming out now, where we have to move cargo with hand carts and tractor beams. That's they've talked about this way back when.
Right.
So, and that's something that I was like, okay, that's cool, that's fine, because I did my research back then.
Yeah.
So you have to think about, they haven't really gone back on what they said like years ago. They've only made it more intricate and more in depth and more technically. Okay, this will fit this box, but they really stuck to their guns about the way they want the game to work. So yeah, I think if people do the due diligence, then and they accept that, they accept those terms as a quote unquote a kind of a gamer life contract, and from one person to what they're trying to think they want to get into, then yeah, it's acceptable, and maybe it's quite enjoyable for them. It's what they want to do, and it should be a great game for many people. For others, you do your research, you'd be like, yeah, no thanks, I appreciate it, thank you for your time, I'm going to try something else, I'll look at another proposal. So that's the way I look at it. Good.
Those are all good points. Thank you, Admiral. Good stuff. Admiral mentioned some very good points there in what he says. There is, and Togi, I want to go back to something Togi said earlier too. I can see how navigating the waters can be difficult. Because many of us as gamers, YouTube is a great source for us, right? I mean, there's gaming reviews and magazines out there, but in general, the thing that we access quickly in our culture right now is seeing what other gamers have to say about something. And that can even be frustrating, because you will have one set of gamers that maybe you respect and you've been listening to for a long time, who will make one particular statement about the game, and maybe they think, as he mentioned earlier, it's a scam. Everything about this is a scam, or it smells like a scam, or it looks like a scam. Then you've got the persons on the other side who are big dreamers, right? And maybe they are a little bit impractical about this idea of space, and anything that somebody mentions space, they get excited. So they're saying, no, it's not a scam. This is the game we've always wanted. And so if you're even trying to do due diligence on that level, it could still be very frustrating, because you've got people on both sides who have these opinions about what Star Citizen is. So yeah, and there is an aspect of where there can still be confusion even when you do both of those. I've got Fast Card here with me. FC, how are you?
I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well as well.
You're good.
Yeah, I have to admit, mine probably will be a departure from what other people are saying. I heard about the game from a guild member in Full Tour in 2012. I missed the Kickstarter, but I saw the video that Chris Roberts put out. And many people know that I did not play. I had not played Wing Commander. I had not played Freelancer. I was more of the Lucas Art guy with X-Wing and Tie Fighter and stuff like that. So in 2012, I gave the game a pass because I was deep into Pro Tour at that time. It was still like Pro Tour came out in 2011, and this is 2012, and I stayed with Pro Tour for another 3 years after that. So, but in 2014. In October, not during CitizenCon, but after CitizenCon, like a couple of weeks, I saw the CitizenCon presentation, and when they showed the social module, I was hooked. And they were walking around in Alt Corp, and all the bells and whistles. I was hooked by then, and so I bought the 315p, and I bought a physical package. The cheapest one that they offered at the time was the Constellation Tour. And so, but I do have to say, by October 2014, I had not done my due diligence. I was lured in by the prospect of what Star Citizen could be. But in the month after that, I saw and heard all the hate that the game and the funding model was getting.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Did you ever go through a period, or were you ever affected by the fact that and by the way, let me say some shout outs real quick. Charles DCI, good to see you. Thank you for that resub 15 months. And Axis, thank you for that community gift sub. Appreciate that. My question to you, Fast Card, was there ever a time in those early days where the scam thing was something that ran through your head? Like, in other words, did you ever check to see, is this a scam? Or did you ever wonder, is a scammer, like, did you go to the website and you saw the prices? You're like, man, that's kind of crazy. I'm not giving them that type of money. I mean, did you ever kind of lean toward that or wonder about whether there was a scam, or were you always sold on the deal?
I was confident in Chris Roberts' name.
Okay.
Because I never played the game, but I knew who he was, and I knew what kind of reputation he had. So I was never really doubted or had doubts in this game. I saw some of the prices, and I'm like, that's a lot, but I didn't really say, well, I don't have to buy it. No one's holding a gun to my head to buy these ships,
right?
For that kind of money. So no, not like that. No.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes if, and I know many of you guys weren't around back then. I know a lot of you guys weren't, and I even know now that even many of you who are in Star Citizen route may not have known anything about Chris Roberts. In fact, when you heard about Star Citizen, you probably said, who is Chris Roberts, right? But there was a large group of people who knew who Chris Roberts was from his earlier games, from Wing Commander on through. I wonder, Fast Cart, if Chris Roberts' name was not on there, if there was some name of somebody who was out there, would it have died? I'm sure there are plenty of other people who thought of making really great space games, but I wonder, did his reputation really, really be the glue? You know what I mean? That made people like yourself say that because it was Chris Roberts, I felt more confident.
I could say for sure it was Chris Roberts' name that made me feel more confident, because I can give you a direct example.
Okay.
A few years later, the people from LucasArts tried to put out another Kickstarter themselves called Starfighter. Wasn't associated with LucasArts, but it said made by the creators of X-Wing and Tie Fighter and stuff like that. They didn't do as well.
Right, that's true.
that Kickstarter failed. So, and matter of fact, well, mostly I didn't back that game because it was mostly PvP. It didn't have a single player campaign. So that's why I didn't back that one. So yes, I think the name Chris Roberts had a lot to do with it, especially in 2012. Maybe not as much now, because like you said, people may not recognize the name or have a nostalgia associated with it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I feel confident in his name.
Yeah. Hey, Glade, good to see you. Yeah, I in retrospect, this is looking back on it, right? Because, you and I have seen the Kickstarter page. There's a lot of information there, a lot of stuff that's there. But I do believe that so much of it was that, even with that video that we saw, the Squadron 42 video, at the time with the Bengal carrier and the Vandal ships.
Right.
That was cool. But I think the video that continues on that, where Chris comes back and starts talking about, I think there were three things actually: the visuals of what we saw. I think that Chris Roberts, with it opening up with that whole thing about they thought the PC was dead, right? Because a lot of us, even though I was playing consoles, I remembered playing PC. I missed playing PC, right? And so to see these visuals and say, this is actually what's going to be on a PC, that was 1+1 for me, right? And then the other 1+ was when Chris Roberts comes on, right? And all three of those things combined, for me, made the pitch legit, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? Right. It took all three of them. Yeah, it took all three of them, because without the visuals, if it was just Chris, and him talking about the PC's dead, that would have been one thing. Or if it was the PC's dead and what I'm saying, but you needed all three to me to sell those of us who maybe were in those early days. Because I think a lot of the people who came in early knew who Chris Roberts was in the early days.
Plus, for me, like I had waited 2 years, so I had seen how much money that I think by that time it was like 65, well, over 100 million by that time. So it was carrying it on pretty well. So that was another plus for me, because the backers seemed to be believing the project, and like I said, CitizenCon had a whole bunch of people in the audience. So that I can't really consider that due diligence per se, but it gave me more confidence.
Okay, fair enough. All right, FC, thank you, brother.
Yep.
All right, last one we got is Red Bear, and then we're going to go on to the next one, which is going to be a little different for us this week. Red, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. How about you?
Doing good.
Yeah, I was a bit shocked when you said you went back to the console. Oh yeah,
I was playing PC for the longest time, and it's not that I went back to it. I just started playing console, and there was just less and less stuff that was PC. Because back then, buying a home PC was a lot of money, right? But buying an Atari 2600, I could afford that. You know what I mean? And I got on that roll. I went from the Atari 2600 to the 5200. I had Intellivision 1 and 2. I can go back further than that. I can go back to the Magnavox, which ain't none of y'all gonna know about. I had Vectrex.
I got the Pong machine.
I had Vectrex. I did Commodore. But you know what I did do? What made me swing back was the Commodore 64.
Yeah.
That got me going back into PC. That got me into PC. But I still had a Genesis at the same time. I had both platforms, right? But there wasn't anything knocking my socks off with PC. You know what I mean? Nothing was really hitting me hard until I saw this,
Yeah, well, that's exactly... I didn't have console, but I had laptops, because it was not much of a progression in tech and whatever, and you didn't need to upgrade as much anymore.
Yes.
But since Star Citizen, it seems to push a lot of other games as well that way, which we all profit from, right?
Right.
I mean,
yeah.
Also, it costs now more money because we need to upgrade our PCs again.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, especially back then, because back in the day, we were joking around about this, guys, but some of you old heads in the room will remember this. You literally used to upgrade your computer for a game. I mean, literally. I mean, like literally, remember buying a sound card, Red, or extra memory or something like that just to play a game,
Well, Chris Roberts was famous for letting your PC upgrade. I mean, I know that I had to upgrade my PC, especially for his Wing Commander games. It was insane, back in the day. I need 4 MB megabytes, but that's nothing now. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. All right, Red, thanks for stopping in. All right, gang. I've got to go get something from my front door because I have something from UPS that's out there. But I'm going to, this is perfect timing, actually. We don't need a commercial break, which is good. I'm going to show a video to you guys, and then I'm going to come back. We've never done this before. Let me get this all set and get you guys set for this, and then I can run to the door and get this thing. Okay. So we've never really done this before, and I know Fastcart. Like I saw Fastcart's comments to me quietly when he saw the script for today, and he's basically like, "You got to be kidding, right?" But I'm going to highlight a video today, and I've never really done this on the show before. Oh God, 7 Cities of Gold, Gladestone. Yes, absolutely. Okay, let me preface this. And there's a reason why I'm showing this video, okay? I just want you guys to watch it, okay? Do your best to watch it. Yeah, Red. Do your best to watch this. It's a very short video. It's not very long. But since we're talking about this thing about solo gameplay, this was a video that someone put out about solo and talking about large ships, and the subject keeps coming up, right? So we want you guys to watch this. And I'll tell you why I'm actually highlighting this video and why we're going to talk about it when I get back, okay? So here we go. And I'll be right back.
Shills as far as the eye can see. Guys, welcome to the channel. And before I go on, I want to thank all of you that have subscribed and have showed your support, all of the comments. Thank you so much. And it just goes to show that there is an interest in this kind of content, in having someone in the community that is not just shilling away and just gaslighting you with things that you can see with your very own eyes. And I know that it blows the mind of some out there, the idea of you liking a video game or what that video game could one day be, enjoy the flying of ships and so on, but at the same time calling out when marketing gets a little bit too damn greedy, when there's just not new content, and when they do things that go against what we want as players simply because it benefits the business side of the company, such as 323, which is a patch that pretty much brings a lot of time wasting, which it is a tactic, it is a trick for maximum monetization, by which you don't do anything that is new gameplay, you just introduce more time wasting and more grinding, which in many ways will incentivize the idea of just go buy another fucking ship. And as a company, as a business model, maybe it works great. For us as players, not so much. So we call it out. Yes, you can do those. You can do both things. You can be critical and like something at the same time. Just pointing out the things that need to improve, or just pointing out when you went a little bit too far. If you like playing Star Citizen, use a referral code there. If you think it's something you may enjoy, watch my videos, make a decision, and if you end up playing, use a referral. I know that a lot of you guys love it when at the same time that I criticize the game, I mention my own referral. Thank you for that. Wonderful. Now, the topic of today is this: multi-crew ships, larger ships. What happens when you have anything that's not a single-seater? Do you need a crew? Well, here is where the maximum white knight will show up with his XXXL armor and swing his sword and say, of course you will need a crew. What do you think? You're going to be flying a large ship on your own? That was never supposed to be that way. Well, let me tell you, I mean, you're talking about a spaceship in the future. You should have enough technology so as to be able to fly it on your own and not need a damn thing in terms of shooting. And, yes, it would be expected. But beyond that, it's what these guys said. Take a listen.
Todd here. Your first question right off the bat says, will a solo player with high quality NPC crew be able to compete with a skilled human crew? A very common question. This has been a point of contention in the community for years, given that all other conditions are equal, like the same ship, the same weapons, the same components, all that stuff. NPC crew versus people crew, go.
Yes. I mean, right now the NPC.
yes. Basically, yes. That's what they said. They said yes. You know why they said yes? Because if not, who the hell is going to be buying a ship that needs a bunch of real humans to be flown? It would ruin the business. If they say such a thing, no one buys anything other than a starter ship. So yes, of course, they said you don't need it.
Some of the AI hit at 95, 96%, and I don't even think that the most skilled human will be able to do that. So
he's saying that NPCs will be better than most humans. It will be better than 95. I mean, you as a solo player with a C2 with your NPC crew, you will be doing better than 95% of human crews out there. That's what CIG said. It's not me making shit up. It's what they said they would end up doing. Now, I know how this works in terms of, but they never promised. No, there's no legal obligation here. But if you expect any kind of retribution, respect, or if you have any basic common decency, if you're selling something and you say people will be able to use it solo because it's going to be an NPC crew that's better than 95% of players out there, then that's what you were basically telling your backers, the people that pay you, right? It would be a complete ripoff. It would be a scam to now impose a system by which, no, it's not the way anymore. We're not doing that. You need a crew. And again, the neckbeard loser that says, join an org, have more friends. First, dude, you don't have a friend ever. You've never met a friend in your life. You don't have much of a life either. And you know what? Some of us, we have lives. We have wives. We have kids. We have jobs. We have somewhat of a social life outside the fucking video game. And you don't have 5-6 hours a day so as to coordinate with a bunch of people that are that have as little going in their lives as you do, so as to play for 3-4 hours? When was the last time you just quickly went in there and 5 minutes, I have a bunch of people that come along? No, it doesn't work that way. You know it doesn't. Most people, when you go online, they're playing solo. It's 99% of people that you see in the game, they are playing solo, because most people are not a damn, blob sitting on a chair all day long playing video games. You have somewhat of a life. And if you've ever multi-crewed or played with someone else, you know how difficult it is. First of all, find someone that wants to play along with you. Find someone that wants to play along with you and is not playing for the first time ever. Someone that knows what to do. Someone that is not a crazy Chinese dude that, like, 90%, based on my experience, 90% of Asian servers are sociopaths. I'm not even fucking around. I'm not even kidding. 90% of people in the Asian forum will play along with you for over an hour, only to then just turn around, shoot you in the head, and crash the entire fucking thing and lose everything you've been doing because they're not okay. They have serious mental problems. I don't know why that is, but that's the truth of Asian servers. And the rest goes for all of the other ones. You cannot have a quick hour or so playing and always finding someone that is going to be, I'll man the turrets, I'll just do the engineering while you play around. Besides, most people don't want to do that. Most people that want to play a video game, they don't want to go around taking orders. And here is where in the spectrum you have the fucking loser that always comes along, I like doing it all the time. And in the same damn paragraph, he ends by saying that he likes being the captain of the ship and doing nothing. Okay, you're saying it yourself. You like being the captain and choosing to do nothing while everyone else runs around and does the boring crap. Are there people that like doing that? Sure. Are there people that like being Scotty or Spock or whatever the hell it is that's not the captain of the... Yeah, sure. There's not enough. It's not many. Most normal-ass people don't want to follow orders without a pay in their spare time. It is basic common sense. So, the point is, they told us this would not be a problem. They told us that we would have NPCs for our larger ships. Would you have to pay those NPCs? Fine. That's something that was in the conversation. It was in the conversation before. Was it implemented 5 years ago when they were talking about this? No, but it's always been that way, that they've always assured us that we would have an NPC crew or some other solution by which you would be able to fly your ship. In fact, it is pretty fucked up that a Carrack exists right now without the option of having someone in those turrets. It is a ripoff that they allow that to go live without a solution for the obvious problem of you're flying a ship that has no guns. And it's a giant-ass expensive ship if you buy it with real money, and yet it's not working because you couldn't be bothered to actually have those NPCs, which you were talking 5 years ago that it would be there. 5 years later, still not a solution for a turret shooting on its own. Well, what is it they're trying to do? They're trying to make people engage and play with one another. A CIG could not give less of a rat's ass if you have friends or not. Let me make this perfectly clear. They only care about selling ships, which is what makes them money. You being in this delusion that you have video game friends and you're less of a lonely creep because people play with you on a MMO, that's not, they do not give a flying fuck about that. They could not care less. Chris Roberts that will make no difference to Chris Roberts' bank account, his yacht, or his mansion. That's not it. They only care about selling ships. So there's a strong scent in the air that this thing of implementing engineering without a solution, if they end up going along with this into live, I think there's probably a ship coming along very soon that will allow you to have the upper hand in spite of not having that crew, all right? I wish that's not the case. It could also be the case that they simply do not care enough and just leave it as it is. And, yeah, you're kind of fucked. You don't have an NPC crew. You definitely don't have 3-4 people to man everything that needs to be manned. And, yeah, people just fly it as it is. And, you just keep on squeezing that golden egg goose until you damn kill it. Maybe they're going with that. Crystal ball, not here. I don't know exactly what it is. But I do know one thing, that they told us we would not have this problem. They told us that we would have an NPC crew for our ships. You would have to hire it. You would have to pay for it. Whatever it is, that's all okay. But we were told that we would have a solution for someone owning, either with real money or in-game, a larger ship. And it would not be on you to find employees that work for you for free so as to enjoy the game. This is what it is. This is what we've been talking about all along. This is just one video. There's numerous videos where they explain this. So no, it's not that just because you have a larger ship, you are supposed to have people or join orgs, which, by the way, joining an org, really? No, not doing that anytime soon. I'm not that person. Even if you are, even if most people that have joined orgs, I think that most of them leave quite discontent. I mean, there's people that even have talked about, yeah, you're being told to call them sir, and you're ordered around, and I think what's that, Citizen Kate, that shit show became public. And yeah, they're doing their little thing, they're doing their little channel business thing, but for you, as a damn slave and working for them for free, that is pretty stupid. That's not the kind of thing most people would fall for. And if you do, it's not going to be for a long time. But, my point is, guys, I expect CIG to give us a solution. This is still not a problem because it's still not in the PU. This is Arena Commander for now. But if they throw this can of worms in live eventually, that's going to be, I wonder even how much of an impact it will have in sales, because why would you even buy a larger ship if there's no way of you using it properly? Just flying around and just being a target for someone else, that doesn't seem a whole lot of fun. See you next time, guys. Take care.
All right. So all you delusional white knight fat guys sitting in the basements, make sure you use his referral code. I got more entertainment watching you guys in the chat than anything else. I really did. Let's talk about this video a little bit. As you guys know, for those of you who got here a little late, our title today is called Solo MMO. And I opened this up talking about how we first talked about due diligence, doing the homework to find out about the game, both as far as the game as far as the gameplay, as well as the company that's producing the game, the community, all that stuff. Do your due diligence and learn more as much as you can. But I want to talk about the people who are saying other things in the community. And some people might say, and normally I'm looking at Fast Card's meme. Most times we don't like to give air to certain types of content. Now, we're not against criticism, not at all. Criticism is a part of the balance that needs to be there in order for us to hold CIG accountable, hold the community accountable, and that's important. But then there is another side of it where it's done, and criticism is done in what I would say is done in ignorance. And I'm not saying the person is ignorant, even though some of you might think so. I'm saying because they just don't know. And I don't know if it's because they haven't taken the time to know, they don't want to know. whether they want to say they're doing it for clicks, whatever the case may be. And a lot of times we don't want to give air to stuff because we don't want necessarily have people start to listen to these people. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm saying if people are giving good critical information, we have no problem referring them to people. And there are plenty of people in our community who feel a certain kind of way about the development of Star Citizen. No question about that. But then there's also another side of it that is misinformation. And when there's misinformation, I think it's important that they be called out for misinformation. Now, some people may say, well, who are you? Are you the information police? Well, actually, that's what Soul Citizens is. We're not the police, but we're here to provide information for people so that they have a better understanding of the game and they can make their own decisions with good information, with the proper information. But there are people out there saying things that sometimes are not right. Now, whether that's because they just haven't done the homework or because they're just frustrated or they heard it one way and it's not the way it was supposed to be, I'm not going to try to depict that. But there was a lot of stuff that was said in this video and many other videos that was just wrong. It was just incorrect. And so I'm going to bring some people in because I'm going to let you guys give me your thoughts on, this and this solo gameplay. Maybe even some of the things that he was saying about solo gameplay. He felt that one, nobody's going to want to work on other people's ships. They're not going to do it for free. NPCs, that they promised us that we'd have NPCs that would be able to be better than humans, which, by the way, he didn't play the whole video. If you guys heard the way that opened up, Disco's question was, if someone's at a ship that is operating at full efficiency and has the best NPCs, can they compete as a solo player? And Todd's answer was yes. And he talked about the fact that if we run, and this came up before, because I remember when they were testing guns in the Retaliator, they talked about they could put the Retaliator like at 100% and 100% accuracy, never miss. Obviously, it's the computer, right? It could do that. But they have to pull it back to some aspects to make it so that we feel like there's competition. They're not going to set NPCs at 100%, guarantee you that. But they did talk about NPCs would start at low grade and work their way up, and that they would work proficiently, right? And Chris Roberts did say that that humans will be better, and that's a very subjective statement because I can give you scenarios where where an NPC will be better or just as good as a human, and I can give you some scenarios where they're not going to be, just because it's not going to happen. Okay. The tech's not there for this to happen. And there's some other aspects I could talk about with that. So let me bring some people in first, and then we'll go. So I'm going to bring in Pops first, and I'm going to bring in Red, then I'm going to bring in Fist. Pops, you there?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Griff, you got to jog my memory. I forgot the question now.
I don't know what the question. My
you
question.
Don't know the okay.
My question to yours. Well, I was just asking about. I just said he mentioned several things here. One, nobody's going to want to play as a solo player. That nobody's going to want to work for free. That they promised us that we're going to have NPCs. That nobody's going to have the time or be willing to do all this stuff. Most of the players are playing solo in the game. There's a lot of things he said. Is there anything in particular?
Yeah, well, he does. I'll say this on the only positive thing I'll pull on this, because I'll probably go in a different direction than everybody else is. But solo people, he is right. Solo people do make up a large percentage of gaming, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a brief discussion the other day about engineering, and I hope that solo people get the opportunity to go in and learn different things, and maybe they'll do a certification so they if they want to do something for people for maybe a week or two, get paid and go on about their business and do their cargo and just get experience doing it. I hope they do a lot of catering to solo people, because it's an important crowd. The referral code, and I'll just leave it at that. Let everybody else.
All right, Pops. Thanks. All right. Okay. All right. Let me bring in Red next. Red, you there?
Yeah, I'm. Yeah, I think I mentioned it before about the non-solo aspect. First of all, the Overdrive initiative actually showed that people actually want to work together. Especially the first mission. I don't know if you remember, you have to one at the server and the other one was running around and shout out the codes, and the other one pushes in. And I thought it was a nice dynamic between the players.
Yeah.
So,
interestingly enough, it was possible to do it solo, but it was more difficult. And they talked about that on SCL yesterday. They said they don't want to make something where you can't do it, but it will be better if you do. Right, it may work out easier if you have other people playing it. And you're right, plenty of people got together with friends and did that. You're absolutely right, absolutely. I know they did in Korea.
Oh.
I know Korea they did for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah,
yeah.
Well, this is a nice way to show that people absolutely want to play together.
Yes.
I think another thing that's actually great for the MMO community in all. I hope more games will take notice and make people work together again. I mean,
yes,
we have lost that a long time ago, and people are a bit, I say this, almost brainwashed into solo play every game, and I can do everything.
Yeah.
Well, now is the time not to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And for the family part, well, I do have. I'm married as well, and I still manage to do some runs with some friends in a carrick.
Right.
I don't think that is a big problem as soon as you can manage your time.
Yeah.
And if you cannot manage your time, well, that's a you problem, in my opinion.
Right. That's a good point. All right, Red, thank you. By the way, stick around. Yes. The next subject you want, I know I'll be back. You'll be back for it, okay?
Oh yeah.
All right. All right, let me bring in Fist. Hey, Fist.
Hey, what's happening, Griff?
Okay.
Listen, mission accomplished. You gave me a good, nice shot of espresso. I'm up now.
Okay.
I'm up.
Okay.
So, I oh man, I'm sorry, bro. You got man, my blood. Anyway, let me gather my thoughts for a minute, because we got 3 people behind me, so I'm not gonna be long. But see, what triggered me, and I'm gonna say this, was that the point of fact that's watching the video and the whole situation was that when he explained his point, he put it to the point of fact that he didn't play the whole video.
Right.
He took a bit. It's like that saying: you take a little bit of information, and then now he
cherry picked it. He cherry picked it. Absolutely.
He cherry picked it. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what pissed me on. I'm saying that's what pissed me off.
But to that point, that's why I say it's important that we highlight this, because there are people like what Togi was saying earlier who might stumble across this guy, right? And they see him show an official video, right? And here's somebody who didn't see the original video all the way through, don't know where to look up the video. But they say this guy's on here really upset, and he's going on, he's showing what CIG said and blah, 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 blah. Right. And you can see how that can hurt some people who may come into the game with genuine curiosity. Right. And it's misinformation.
Right. And that is the very core foundation to the reason why I say that as to now I do my due diligence.
Yeah.
Because again, if I was, face to face years ago, I might have fell into this trap. I might have fell into this trap though, because, and the reason why I explain that is because my perception was jaded already coming in. I've already experienced, again, pay to win tactics, seen all of those things, seen a game get ruined that you invest time into something, and then it get ruined because of those practices.
Yeah.
So I can understand reasoning why, and this is why I advocate this with the community, is that, and I'm glad that you brought this out, to push back. Now, I understand we got to be civil about it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that this is being brought to the attention. But, the reality of it is that, again, this is my opinion. When are we going to call a grift a grift? Right?
Well, that's the difficult thing for me. I don't know when folks, there are some people we know folks are grifting, right? Because they know there's an audience out there who wants to hear the dissatisfaction and everything else. But I will say this, I know people who do feel this way. They honestly feel still that Star Citizen's a scam, that CIG doesn't know what they're doing, that they're dragging on the project deliberately just so they can make more money. I mean, they genuinely, and they ain't on YouTube. These are players who honestly feel that way, right? And so again, that person who says that one-on-one conversation is with me is one thing, and they can still spread stuff on a much more smaller scale. But when you give people a platform, right, and people come to the platform looking for information, don't get me wrong, there's due diligence on our part to make sure the person that we're listening to ain't crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's all we have is what's being presented on that screen. And all I'm saying is that these people have influence. They have influence, and that's why we're saying it's important for people to do their own due diligence, regardless. I don't care if I'm saying something. I've been corrected before. I've come on shows before and said, hey, what I said was wrong. You know, I'm saying it's important for all of us to do our due diligence, right? Because good information's out there as well as bad information is out there.
Right. And my last point to that point is that, is that when you look at, you know, those folks you mentioned very briefly, you said, you know, folks that actually feel that way, right? And anybody's entitled to feel. I can't tell you how to feel. You're entitled to how you feel. But my thing is, my issue is when you take your feelings and then go out and try to amass an army. You know, towards your feelings to then let me go in and get my pitchforks and whatever torches to go take something down because that's how I feel. That's fine. Feel how you feel in that corner over there, and face that corner over there. Maybe
they feel like they're helping other people. They don't want other people to fall for the scam. You know, I get what you're saying, Fist. I'm just saying people's motivations can be, like you said, they could quietly feel a certain way about something, and then there are the people who literally get on the bandwagon and, you know, we're not going to give CIG any more money. You know, boom, because they're not doing such and such, right? They go on Spectrum and put out a big post on it. I mean, like you said, people are going to feel the way they feel.
Right.
That's what it comes down to.
But feel how you feel, which is cool. But then don't say that the other side is wrong about how the way they feel.
Yeah, but you can't tell people what they can't say.
But that's what I mean. But that's what I'm saying. How you going to infringe upon my right, and then on the other hand say don't infringe upon mine.
I understand, but I'm saying you're saying they should just stay in their corner. I'm saying I can't even tell them to do that. I'm just saying you're going to have the people who do stay in their corner.
I'm telling them to do that. Come see me. I want all the smoke.
All right, fair enough.
I want all the smoke.
Fair enough. All right, thanks, Fist. All right, let me bring Fast Card down. FC.
Hey,
Hey,
Your Honor, I want the record to show that I was not forced on this video. Having said that, we are not the information police, but maybe we are the information neighborhood watch. I'm not sure. And I'm glad that my make it stop meme made you laugh.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we entertained you in chat. I was watching you roll in the video. I do remember this video, the original video, the CIG video.
Yeah.
It made me hopeful for my endeavor using AI blades and NPCs back then.
Yep.
Back then. Now with the repairing and engineering, I'd rather have real people when possible. Coming back to solo MMO, but yeah, I think I'm gonna have a lonely time sometime. Because the thing is, they say a lot about the AI blades back then and NPCs back then.
Yeah.
They haven't really been talking much about it recently. So
yeah.
Someone said this video was like 5 years old. No, I want to say it's more like 7 years old.
No. They weren't. Oh, that video. Oh, yeah. The CIG video. Yeah.
The CIG video. The CIG video. I forget when it came out, but it's an older video.
Right.
CIG has the right to change their mind. This is their game. This is Chris Roberts' vision. What they said back then may not be true right now. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that if you watch that whole video, there's balance in what they talk about and what the NPCs and AIs will be able to do in the game. And I'm not by any means thinking that they won't do those things. We just know that it's going to take time for the AI to get to that place, right? They've got to develop the technologies and things. And AIs can do a lot of cool things. Like we've got games now where we've got AI NPC companions that do really, really good jobs, but they also do very bad jobs in certain areas. I didn't mention this earlier, but for example, one of the areas that I have concern with, and I've expressed this to some of our friends, is how do I control an AI when I want to tell it to do something when it's located physically in another part of the ship? What will be the UI that allows me to do that? I'm not saying that there won't be one. I'm just saying I'm curious to see what that UI is. Secondly, I also want to know, will a UI, when Chris Roberts says that there are certain things that human players will do that will be better, I'm talking about things that are decision-making type of things, right? Something that happens instantaneously. Example, Fast Carts Banu Merchantman, a fire breaks out in the cargo section.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Fire breaks out. I send the AI to go down there to respond to it. That's fine. A human responding to it may make a decision that says, Fast Cart, we're losing the cargo, or this fire is too big. I need a way to report back what's happening in that manner for a decision-making process. Sending it to do a task is one thing. But having a human player there that can help make a decision about something is something that I'm not necessarily seeing the AI being able to do. And even if it does, it doesn't always mean that because they did it based upon a certain, like, let's say if the 80% of the room is on fire, does that mean that we still want to give it up? Maybe we say, no, we're going to keep fighting for it because we've got $10 million worth of stuff in there and the captain chooses otherwise. So there's things like that to me say AI, certain areas like in a turret, doing certain things will be great. But in areas where a decision needs to be made by an AI that's responding, I'm curious to see whether or not they'll be able to develop something that makes us feel confident that we can send them into a space like that. But that's way down the road.
Griffin, in that specific example, I would tell the AI to save the cargo at the expense of itself.
There you go. Hey, well, there you go. Right? Yeah. You
save the cargo no matter what.
You're going to do a Blade Runner run. Okay. All right. Thanks, buddy. All right. Let me bring in Admiral Kusanagi, then Togi, then I got Kai. Admiral. Is he there?
Hey, sir.
There he is.
I just wanted to say, may the 4th be with you.
Thank you.
Everybody else here. I forgot to say that earlier.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. Soloing a big ship. Yeah. Will it be possible? Sure, but you wouldn't want to get involved with multiple other ships with, if I had an Idris and I was going against another Idris and I was soloing mine with NPCs and stuff like that, they're not going to have expert shooters. You can pay for it. Your expenses could be more expensive.
Right.
The question is, I think what you were alluding to earlier was what happens with, if my components start to degrade or get damaged in battle, who's going to go down and fix them? Is there, I'm dealing with little AI, things in what is the hell is this called? Mana Lords. And I want them to go there now, but I have to let the whole thing cycle, like a couple weeks, and then they'll go there. Even if I upgrade it to highest or something, because they're like, oh, I'm dealing with this job right now. It's like, no, stop that job, go to this one right now. Screw that job. This is more important. So, I can't be, some guy, some NPC fixing the toilet needs to forget about the toilet and go and deal with the shield issue.
Yeah.
Right when that shield issue has a concern. So that's where I think that people so maybe, you could probably get take off in your Idris. I mean, there's no problem piloting your Idris, but who the hell wants to be a pilot of their own Idris? I want to be able to have a crew. I think everybody here probably wants to be a Captain Kirk or a Cisco, and not the guy who's taking the helm that they switch out every other 3 episodes. But some people want that role. Some people want to be cooks.
Right.
But again, the whole idea is to make an MMO is trying to create a community within that larger community. If you want to just solo the thing, you might as well just play an RPG or something like that. You can freelance. People can freelance, but again, you're not going to freelance with an Idris. I just don't see it happening.
Okay, I won't argue that point. We will see what CIG does, because to your point, I'm going to wait to see how, again, I'm still on this whole thing. Let's see how CIG unfolds their world, because I still can't speak about what that world's going to look like when we're finally in a place where these things are working. And, it may win some people over. Some people may decide, we have a couple people now who play with us now who told us they were solo players. And after they've gone out and played with us as a group, they now have said, I'm still a solo player, but I found out that I actually do enjoy doing things with a group of people,
And it's many people here watching the show. I mean, I think most of us don't, but I mean, the newer people who may be watching the show right now or later watching the video, Soul Citizens is not an org. We keep telling Grift, like, hey, Grift, this needs to be an org. And what it is a community. You know, it's a community to talk about the game. And I'll be quite honest with the people watching this right now. We have some pretty damn good conversations after the show's over. That's when the conversation gets really, really interesting, I feel. Because a lot of people, and that's what you're trying here, to get people to come in and talk to the show right now, because there's a lot of people talking after the show.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes into creating a community within a community. So
absolutely.
And I think you and your team and everybody involved are doing a fantastic job. So thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Admiral. Thank you much, bro. Okay, let me bring in Togi, and then we're going to get to Kai, then we're going to take our commercial break, and then we're going to do our last question of the day. Togi.
What up?
There he is.
So I just got to ask you, Griff, did you have fun last night being my patsy little NPC on my completely unmannable character?
Yes, I did. I had fun. I did. Remember, I ran back in the turret. I said, okay, I'm going back in the turret.
I was totally surprised that anybody, let alone, how many people did we have? Nine?
Yeah, about
nine,
9 people. Yeah.
9 people last night?
Yeah, we did. Yep.
Wow, it's impossible. First time that's ever happened. We should have taken a video.
Should have. Yeah, citizens, let them know how. Yeah, there actually are some people who don't mind helping somebody out.
Yeah, so I mean, all those negative comments on his video must be the 9 of us.
Yeah, and by the way, there was a lot of money you paid us too for doing that as well. You dished out the bucks last night.
Yeah, I mean, just all kinds from that 15 million fake dollars I have.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who, I've heard that though, that argument before, Togi, who say nobody's going to want to fly other people's ships or ride on other people's ships. Everybody wants to fly their own ships. And I don't get me wrong, I got ships. I want to fly my ships too, but I don't have a problem with, somebody else's ship. I really don't. And I don't feel like he called them slaves. Nobody wants to be a slave on somebody else's ship, telling them what to do. Dude, I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. I don't know.
From being in PvP orgs, to me, there's 2 kinds of PvPers, because that's my wheelhouse, right? Right. There's people who are ultra competitive and want to be the dude,
right? And
then there's people who just want to be helpful,
right? Yep.
And the people who, we have got a bunch of people who just like me. I'm trash at PvP. I am decent at most games. You put me in a group of people who actually really try, and I am trash. At best, I'm mid-tier. But you know what? I'm useful in a turret.
Yeah.
I'll have fun in a turret.
Yeah.
I'll have fun being the pilot on the big ship.
Yep.
Again, like when we were getting shot at by those missile turrets outside of the distribution center in that carrot.
Yep.
I got us out of Dodge.
Yep.
I kept us alive, and that was fun.
And nobody got mad. Nobody got mad at you either. So next time I'm going to fly because Togi.
Yeah.
Fly, Yeah. In fact, when you did that, everybody said, "Good flying, Togi." Sometimes I don't know if it comes from, and I've said this before. I try not to blame gamers too much. The industry has kind of created. I think someone said this earlier in the show. The industry has kind of created a psyche in players of playing games by themselves because that's what they've been giving us, whether deliberately or indeliberately, it doesn't make a difference. But it is the fact that that's what they've been feeding us for so long. And I think Red Bear said this earlier, that there was a time when cooperative play was something we actually looked forward to. And I think that started to shift, Togi, back when they started introducing death matches, because cooperative play, you went in together to do something and accomplish it. And it was, you weren't even shooting at each other. You were shooting at something. But when deathmatch came in, all of a sudden it was player against player. Right. And I really remember back in the days of like when games like Doom and what was the one after that was made? It'll pop in my head in a sec. Quake. Yes, Quake. Remember the whole progression of weapons, right? From pistol up to the BFG, right? That was the aspiration, was to do that so that you could wipe somebody out. And in some ways, it wasn't a matter of picking the right weapon for the right job. It's just that automatically the next weapon was a better weapon no matter what. And so now we're getting thrown into a different space that says different weapons mean different things. We're going to try to take away a meta and make you now choose things based upon what's needed in that moment or what you're going to go do. And that's kind of frying people's brains, because they are still thinking, even though it's not a money play to win scenario, there is still this play to win attitude that exists with players. that, and especially that I don't have to rely on anybody to accomplish it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a great feeling of doing something by yourself and getting it done. Nothing against that at all. You fight the dragon by yourself and kill him. That's fine. Is it practical to fight the dragon by yourself? Not really. But if you do that's great.
I think that's a whole thing, that there's 3 distinct kind of currencies that you spend in Star Citizen.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend money, you can spend time, and you can spend friends.
Yeah.
And I think people like this guy maybe has money and probably not the other 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of throwing shouts out at people with friends, like who's going to go get in an org or have friends. I mean, I was kind of like...
Yeah, I mean, with him being so toxic, oh my God, you don't have friends?
Well, and we won't even talk about his shot at the Asian community. I was like,
yeah, nope. I was just like, wow, that's kind of racist.
I'm like, oh, dude, you really want him to come after you? Oh my God. Anyway,
I was on Asian servers the whole time that the PTU was broken. It was fabulous. Right. I had a hell of a time.
Yeah. All right, Togi, thank you, brother, for coming in as always. We'll talk later. All right, last but not least, let's bring in Kai. Then we're going to do our commercial break and get our last question in. Hey, Kai.
What's up, good brother?
How you doing, man? Happy May the 4th to you.
Happy May the 4th. Yes. Well, first off, to your shot about nobody wants to be a slave, that depends on a ship. That depends on context, okay? I'm not looking to be, Kunta, but if you're talking about I'm Buck Rogers and Princess Ardala wants to keep me sitting around drinking beer on one of those cushions,
you're good, right?
And playing video games, and then every once in a while I got to put in an hour work in the old coal mine. Remember Princess Ardala? I'll sign up for that. No, but
absolutely.
I just want to congratulate you because you're winning Star Citizen right now. This is playing Star Citizen. This discussion that you're having, all of this is completely irrelevant to what's going to finally be. Everybody arguing about, I think it's going to be this way. I think it's going to be that way. Let me tell you something. Chris Roberts, the devs, Jared, they don't know what it's going to be yet. This is a long journey and things are twisting and turning and we think it's going to go this way and then it's going to go that way. Like spending effort getting mad at the final game, the final output of Star Citizen, when you've never seen it.
That's true.
To me is hilarious. Now you can get mad at the rate of progress. You can get mad at the state of the playable test demo in 3.23. You can't get mad at, well, Star Citizen sucks because I can't play by myself, or Star Citizen sucks because I can play by myself. Like, whatever. The flight model is too hard. The flight model is too easy.
Right.
Mining is too hard. Mining is too easy. Salvage is too hard. Dude, you don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Shut the hell up. If you want to sit around like the Soul Citizens community does and kind of have fun on little flights of fancy, letting your brain run wild with like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if it does this or that? Okay, that's fine. But getting mad over, like, let me tell you something. I sometimes get mad at my job, at work that I have to do. I get mad at shit that I gotta do. I gotta go to the DMV. I gotta pay my taxes. I get mad at the shit that I gotta do. Star Citizen, what I do on the weekends when I'm sitting around in my underwear drinking beer, that's shit that I want to do. Why would you get mad on your day off? Like, what? Y'all need to chill. All right, that's it.
All right, Kai. Thanks, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. We are going to take a commercial break real quick. We have 1 minute commercial break. Really appreciate you guys, all the comments and everything. I've been trying to keep up with the chat because you guys have had so much stuff going on in the chat, which is pretty good. If you missed the video, you missed it. You missed it. It was an interesting video. But we're going to take a quick commercial break and then we're going to be right back with our last question of the day. So hang in there. Let's see. All right, gang, commercials running. For those of you who are not seeing the commercial, that means you're a subscriber. Thank you guys, as always, so much. Listen, if you, let's see, what was I going to tell you? Our next topic, that's what I was going to tell you about, was our next topic. Our next topic is going to be, let me turn this off. Oh, Star Citizen ain't only for solo players by Red Bear, which is why I told Red to make sure that he sticks around, because this was the post that he put up. One of our viewers, our supporters, wrote this on Spectrum, and it's an interesting perspective, but we'll talk about it a little bit. So let's get ready for that. In how much time do we have? 15 seconds? And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are back. Hope you guys are still with us. Thank you guys again for being here today on a Saturday afternoon. We're going to hit this last topic. For those of you who got here a little late, topic for today is solo MMO. We talked about a little bit about due diligence, doing the homework. If you do the homework, we think you have a better understanding of the project. Kai just kind of closed us out with a great point that if you have a better understanding of the project, maybe you won't be as crazy about things. You'll have a different perspective on why things are the way they are. Manage the frustration levels a little bit better. We want to encourage you guys to do due diligence on this, not from just watching videos and watching gameplay, but CIG has a plethora of information that's out there. So please take advantage of that and use it. And ask questions. Ask questions from people who've been around for a while too. The other thing we talked about was misinformation, that there are people out there who are putting out information for whatever the reason may be, that they didn't do their homework, or they've got an axe to grind, or they just like to complain, or they're a grifter. Whatever the case may be, there are people out there who are putting out information that isn't always correct. Now, it doesn't mean just because they're criticizing that they're wrong. I'm just saying there are people on the good side that put out stuff that ain't correct too. People who are positive who don't do it. This all goes to our whole point about due diligence, okay? But I got to let people know that there are people out there who are saying some things out of frustration or aggravation, or maybe they just don't understand the game, and create some toxicity in people, and actually may even make people turn away from even deciding to play the game. But it's important for us to do our own homework on it. All right, let's get to this last topic here, gang. This is a post that one of our own viewers, redbearOne, posted the other day on Spectrum. And he says, Star Citizen ain't only for solo players. Okay. And so, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're not against solo gameplay. But we are trying to keep things real in the sense of, I don't know, in this day and age, it's like we find ways to redefine things that are very clearly defined. And we do it for the sake of appeasing ourselves. If I can say it that way, pleasing ourselves or whatever, satisfying ourselves. When something is clearly labeled, like, it'll say something like if I don't know, I'm trying to pick something that says don't, okay. Please wear a jacket and a tie when you come in here for dinner. And then people want to say, well, I think I should be able to come in here and eat because my money's just as good as anybody else. And if I want to spend my money here, I should be able to spend my money here. Money's good. Isn't my money just as good as theirs? Why do I have to wear a shirt and tie? It's because they said, don't come in without a shirt and tie. I mean, it's, a tie and a jacket. That's their rule. That's it. That's what it is, And, I kind of sit in restaurants sometimes. I'll go someplace really nice and, I got the family and we're all dressed up and everything. And then I watch people come in, they got their shorts and their flip-flops on and their Hawaiian shirt, and they come in and I'm just like, that's how I feel, y'all. I'm an old guy. I know some of y'all say, well, it shouldn't make a difference what you're wearing. It does. There are some places where people just want to come in and have the experience of dressing nicely and seeing people around them dress nicely. It has nothing to do with their personality or their person, but it has an attitude about the atmosphere that you want to create in a space, stuff like that, right? But I don't know. People get into this thing where they want to do what they want to do when they want to do it, regardless of what anybody else says. And yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that pipe too long because y'all might stop watching me. But let's talk about this subject that Red put up. Let's read his thing. It might be a surprise to some, but Star Citizen was always intended to encourage multiplayer playing together. All right, now, first of all, I want to open up with this thing. He says encourage. He didn't say that it's mandatory. He says to encourage it, which I think is a very good point. And maybe you might not use it. I'm sure that you will enjoy the game even more when you make new and old friends to join your ships. The OD missions, the overdrive missions, already gave me a good feeling that you can not just solo everything, which is really good. There are some solo missions. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, there are some solo missions, but the risk and reward is there. Sure, you can do them, but the risk is going through the roof if things are not going your way. I've been warning people for this, that big ships or even somewhat smaller multi-crew ships are not for solo play or daily drivers like we were used to. Next one. I am for sure. I am for sure. I am very happy for this. This makes the use for smaller and other ships a lot more sense. Also, the use case to get a one-seater for when you are alone is going up by a lot. Having only large/capital ships can be a burden now, and you need people to keep it operational. This is another good step in the right direction from CIG, in my opinion. I hope they keep this up and let people adjust to what an MMO is meant for. We have already a lot of SP single player MMOs. I think CIG does not need to become one as well. Having said that, it might be great for the solo players to have more missions for them to go out for, or have a poll on what missions they look for as a solo player the most. Same goes for the group missions. Say group missions 3, 5, 8, 10, and above. I could go on, but I think I'll leave it at this. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the verse. Alrighty. Wow. Gultrino, thank you so much for the 10 community subs. Oh my God, we got to hear James Brown 10 times. You know what? I don't know why that's doing that 10 times. It's only supposed to do that. It's not supposed to do it if it's more than 5. But we'll take it. Thank you, Glutrino. Thank you for that. Glutrino's another one of our supporters, and we really appreciate you dropping that in for us. Let's go ahead and start bringing some folks in. Hopefully James Brown will be done in a second. I don't know who was here first because I did not see it because I was reading, so I'm just going to go from the bottom on up. Pops, I'm going to bring you in. I feel good. James Brown, is that the last one? Let's see, Pops. Let's see if that's the last one before we talk.
Somebody do some more so I can keep going.
No, don't do any more. Hold up the whole show. All right, James Brown, is that it? Yes. Okay, Pops. Oh, no. Yeah. It wasn't the last one.
It got us.
All right. I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna say this from oh goodness. Okay.
I wasn't counting, so I didn't know it was gonna go 10 times. Oh my God. Neutrino, reload. Thank you, reload. Thank you for the community sub.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I think that's it now. That was okay. You're good now. That was reloads. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna say this from a very personal level.
Mm-hmm.
And Redbeard.
Captain Jones. All right, y'all being funny now. Thank you, Captain Jones. We appreciate that. All right, I think that was the only one. See, it did it for 5 too. We did 5 gift subs and only did it once. I don't know why it did it for the 10 thing. I'm gonna have to figure that out. All right, Pops, go ahead.
Maybe
it's
maybe
haunted.
The challenge is to do 10.
No.
Okay. I see. Okay. I'm gonna say this from a very personal level,
mm-hmm.
and Redbeard, one of the coolest people that those that know him, is a great person.
Mm-hmm.
But I've kind of said this on the show we had the other day with the yacht club.
Mm-hmm.
I would be sitting in my room by myself,
and
my son pushed me to go out, and Fast Cart pushed me to go out to CitizenCon, and I got to do things and meet people that I never would have had a chance to meet before, and be around and have laughter and enhance my life. and I'm very grateful for that. It started with my son, but like I said, I we've been good friends. When you call on us, we do what we can. And the solo player thing, and I'm coming from being solo is great. But when you can meet people and the game grows and it becomes, and you can go back to being solo, you can do it at your own leisure when you want to,
right?
And how you want to, and that to me, like is a big part of this game. Don't leave the solo people out. Give them something to do. When they want to join a group, they can join a group. When they don't want to, they can go back and do solo. And
Absolutely.
I think it's very important.
Okay.
And I hope that's not left out.
That's good.
All
good
right.
points. Thanks, Pops. Awesome.
Oh.
All right. Let me bring in Kai Zen. Kai.
Hey, what's up? Good
Hey,
brother.
bro. You got it.
So I strongly agree with what Pops just said. I think that it could be a little smart for Star Citizen to make a phenomenal, super completely solo friendly game. I think it could be a little smart for Star Citizen to be a super complicated, interdependent game that forces a lot of cooperative play. But in both of those cases, it's just a little smart. If they want to be big brain, galaxy brain smart, if they want to be really adept at marketing, and I don't know, CIG seems to be okay at that. I would suggest that what they're going to do is create a game that has rich game loops of both types, catering to not even 2 game loops. I would like them to have 15 or 18 different sort of game loops where this caters to solo friendly, and it has basically a whole, not just one thing that you can do as a solo player friendly player, but have wide swaths of all kinds of, like, you can go in basically to Baskin Robbins with the 31 flavors and you can get a little scoop, and you could have a scoop of all of the 31 flavors as a solo player. And then, hey, what about for duos that have, again, all of the flavors? And then what about for 4-man teams? What about for 8-man? What about for 16-man? What about for 50-men group? Like, and of course, obviously, I'm sorry when I say man, I'm a Marine. I mean men and women.
Yeah.
Men, women, non-binary, cat people, whatever the hell you want to be these days.
Right.
God bless. Mazel tov. Do you?
Right.
But like, I think that the one thing that I would suggest, and again, I know this sounds like a hypocrite because I literally just said anyone who says they know what Star Citizen is going to be is full of it, because nobody knows what it's going to be. The one thing that I would suggest would be their level of understanding of marketing so far would lead me to presume that the final output of this project will be a thing that they can market to as many different players with as many different tastes as possible. These guys are not trying to be the super niche little Italian butcher shop that has the best meats of these, 12 types. These guys want to be Walmart. They want to be selling all of the things to all of the people in all of the ways, in all of the places. So I think you're going to find that there's a very good chance that they've already been putting thought into how can we make this as broad an appeal as possible to excite both the I will never play with another person ever, I am this one red-pilled loser saying anti-Asian shit in my living room by myself forever, and also market to now we've got 900 Koreans over here that want to get together on a Sunday. They want all of it.
Right.
That's what I suspect.
Yeah.
Could be wrong.
No, I agree. I mean, and you're right. There are some things in the tea leaves. We don't know what the final product is, but there are things in the tea leaves that show progression, even for a solo player, right? There are people who, like right now, I'll just take mining. Obviously, prospector, single seat, one person doing it, right? Mole, in my head, I don't solo in a mole. But I have friends who do solo in a MMO, and they are fine soloing in a MMO. You know what I mean? And so I have to be careful not to tell somebody who wants to solo in a MMO, well, you shouldn't be soloing that. That's a multi-crew ship, right? Here's some other person who enjoys it, has found a way for it to work for them, and that's okay, right? I don't have to get mad at them because why are you by yourself in your MMO? That's what they want to do, and they're making it work. So to your point, I think CIG, that's why when I mentioned about how Red opened up his letter, he said intended to encourage multiplayer, right? Because like you said, there's still a business, right? And you can be as niche as you want to, but as soon as you become very niche, you also niche your money and your funding, right? So you do have to figure out that way to create enough balance that stays within the vision of what you want to create, but also welcomes that vision to, as many players as possible. Now, there's going to always be somebody out there who's just not, whether they're a multiplayer or a single player person, that's just not going to like something. But to your point, until we get to that end product, all we can do is just kind of go by what we are seeing. And I see they are trying to work, because they've talked about the lone wolf player in the game before. They've said that. That's the term that they've used. Lone wolves. That means they know there are people out there who are just going to go out and do their thing on their own, right? But then,
I strongly suspect too that the balance of it will be not as much. Oh, how do I say this? I believe it will be much more solo player friendly than the majority of your audience would probably appreciate. I think that because the financials become involved and selling bigger ships, which we now currently think fall into the domain of group play, the company is financially incentivized to sell as many big ships to as many people as possible.
Yeah.
So I think even though, and the people, as soon as I say it, people are like, no, they've already said it's not. It's okay. Well, they've said lots of shit. They also said they would never sell the F8. All right. So suck it. But like, I think that where this ends up with is a lot more things being solo accessible than we would currently hope for. We, the diehard people that are in the community that are sitting here on a Saturday talking about a game that isn't going to be released for several years. But
let me say this. Honestly,
I
agree.
Let me just finish this one thought real quick. Sure. While that is the case, and I think that would anger many people, I think you have to relax a little and be willing to look at it through the eyes of, if they do this and make, with blades and whatever bullshit, an Idris soloable, if they do that, rather than being so quick to jump on and get angry at that, if they also do a damn fine job of making a valuable and enriching experience for the people who want to go out and do it right with a massive group of people crewing a ship, I think you can't really get mad at them for wanting to go out and get their bag. You got to also just look, you made an awesome game for me and it's funded by these idiot whales. Right. All right. I'll take that. That's all. I didn't want to finish on making it sound like a negative. I'm saying, if that funds if that creates an ability for them to get the money to make the thing that makes me happy, I'm not going to be mad at it. Yeah.
And the only thing I was going to say is I could see it going the way you're saying. I could see that happening. I'm going to be more the hopeful and elevate it to the place that says that there's a bigger agenda beyond the technical and the gameplay aspect. And that one of the other ingredients that hopefully Chris Roberts is trying to do, I don't know if he's doing this, guy, so I'm not trying to read his mind. I'm just saying, I'm hoping, based upon looking at the scope of the project, that he is trying to promote and get players back to playing together. That's not just something that is an aside. Now, mind you, that's a delicate thing because I don't want him to force it. I don't want him to force it. I'm just saying I'm hoping that he makes it attractive.
I get it.
So that there are people out there who maybe when they came to the game thought that I'm going to do this, but then when they went out and, like I mentioned earlier, we've had a couple people who've come and played with us who told us, I'm a solo player, and we invited them to come join us, and now they said, you know what, I'm really enjoying this social dynamic of hanging out with other people, you know. And I'm just saying, I'm hoping that that becomes the other byproduct, you know, because the other byproduct is kind of the natural way it would go with companies and businesses. And but I'm saying I'm hoping for something that's a little bit more esoteric, that there is a conscious effort to get players who have forgotten what it's like to do stuff together. They've honestly forgotten. Some of them never have experienced it because the industry has just made this, you know, give us something, churn it out, give us something, churn it out. And we don't even, and I mean, we can get into a whole societal thing about how people have gotten isolated, right? And forgotten how to be social and connect and talk and communicate because of the way things are. But I'm just, and I know it's a big freaking pie in the sky dream, but I just hope that the game does allow for that we come together a little bit more in gameplay. But still, when I want to play by myself, like there's times I'm in the game, I'm doing something by myself, and I don't ask nobody what you're doing because I'm trying to do my thing, you know, right there, you know, which is cool, you know, which is very cool. All right, buddy. Yes, thank you, Kai. All right, let's bring in, I think it was Admiral. No, it was Fist to Face, then Admiral, then Red, and then we're going to close it up. Fist.
Hey, what's up, Griff?
Yo, bro.
Good discussion. So I look at this, and I'm glad Red Beer posted this. This is a good topic, and I'm glad he said what he said as far as the wording and courage. Like you you know, pinpointed on. I often looked at SC, you know, going forward as being a jack of all trade, master of none. Because I would like for them to have everything that they can put into the game, like you said, from solo to multi-crew to whatever it is, for all professions, for folks to be able to do. Because it's like you said, some days if Pops is sleeping or whatever it is, and I'm up, I want to do something, and then maybe I want to go racing, maybe I want to go out and, you know, farm for a little bit. I want to just tend to my home, you know, like, you know, doing certain things that you would do in your base solo, you know, things like that are cool, you know. I look at that with SC, that hopefully they get that down, because one thing that I've always said from playing games in the past is that casuals make up a large chunk of your player base. If you have that, now the ones that'll stick around obviously are going to be in your hardcore player base. But if you can, if SC can hone in on grabbing that casual market, you know what I'm saying, as well as keeping, you know, your hardcore player base, you know what I'm saying, happy, I mean, it's gold.
Yeah, good point.
It's gold.
No, good point.
You got the pinnacle right there.
Okay, so I'll buy that for $1. All right, Fist, thank you, brother. All right, let's bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral.
I get that reference. I understand that reference. That was a RoboCop reference. Right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
I mean, I agree. I ranted about solo players being on large ships, but you know, certainly, you know, I have plenty of small ships myself. I've even flown an MPUV from Microtech to the space station above. So, you know, there should be missions and such things for people who want to do those type of routes. And you know, one of the concerns I think that you know, Citizen Joel brought up was, you know, how does splitting up costs between, you know, an NPC crew, like what's the cost difference between having a full NPC crew and having real players? Of course, you know, real players want more, you know, make as much money as they possibly can. I think it really comes down to the efficiency levels and, you know, having to take time to dole out jobs when everybody should know what they need to do to get something done.
Yeah.
But for solo players, you know, that's just what they're going to have to figure out how they want to get through life. I don't see anybody having like an 64, you know, kilometers, 8x8 plot, you know, that's fully done up. That's gonna be very difficult, you know.
Yeah.
So teamwork is gonna come into play, and certainly upkeep costs and all that type of stuff. Because the bigger the ship you have. So take your solo player flying the Argo Mole. It costs a lot more money for him to fly that ship than it does a prospect. Now, yes, he can fill it up, but how much fuel is he going to expand to just hover over something, go into one thing. Oh, wait a minute, I can't do
Right.
this because I need an extra laser onto it.
Right.
So what's the point? It's supposed to be taking up bigger and larger rocks. And if you can't use the larger rocks, you're like, okay, well, maybe NPCs can do that. I really question the NPC's ability to be able to change the laser power or something when you have lag involved.
Yeah.
There's some serious concerns there, and I think that's a fool's errand in terms of that ship.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions there.
Yeah. 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 There's some, like I said, there are people, and that's why I said the people who choose to mine that way, they're satisfied with that. Right. To me, it may not make sense because I'm the type of person, I'm going to take a mole out. I want a couple people in the mole. That's me. That's what I want to do. But for other people, they're satisfied. They make their money. They're content with that. They're happy. And it's not even a matter of efficiency. I think it's just a matter of if they're willing to do that, that's what they want to do. And all CIG said is that we just want to give people those options, right? And if that's what they want to do, fine. If a person wants to take their Idris out with 4 people on it and fly it, they're not going to say you can't pull that ship out. You can. Whether you survive or not may be much more difficult. Maybe you'll luck up. Maybe you can ride around for 4 hours and nothing happens to you because everybody sees you got an Idris and they say, we're not going to mess with that. Then maybe again, it's the other way around. Maybe it's you got those 4 people and somebody said, ooh, there's an Idris, let's blow it up. And if you don't have enough people to man guns, enough people to do repairs and engineering, then you're willing to take the loss. And if they tell you, well, it's going to cost you X number of dollars or to get it back, or it's going to take you X number of days to get it back. If those people are willing to eat that, all CIG is saying that's their choice, right? It's not the choice I would make. I wouldn't even think about it. But there are people who might want that challenge and they want to do that. That's why I'm saying we want to do the due diligence. I don't want to tell people don't buy an Idris because you're by yourself. I want to tell people if you're going to buy Idris, here are some things you need to consider, and then let them make that decision on if they want to do it. For me, it may be ludicrous, ridiculous, whatever the case may be. For that person, maybe that person just wants to own a big ship and that's what they want to do. And maybe they'll say, I'll figure it out later. Again, we just want to make sure people understand what they're stepping into. And I know that there are people who, because we had some people, I remember when the Javelin tour came out, Admiral, and there were people who literally melted their javelins after they walked around on the ship and saw the scale of it, because they said, oh my God, I didn't know this was everything that it was going to entail. And they melted it and they got some things that were smaller. That was a form of information. They made a decision. But some people do come into Star Citizen. I told the story before about the guy who was cussing mad because he bought an exploration pack. And I asked him, well, why are you upset? And he said, well, I bought that and I got a carrot because I thought I could do mining in it. I didn't know. And he spent over $1,000, because he just didn't know. When we want people to make sure that they do their due diligence and learn what the things are they can and can't do in the game. So
I mean, that's clearly like a reading thing.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Coming from a different game.
But people buy
experiences in that game.
But you know how people are. People see something and they. You know how it is, Admiral. I don't have to explain it to you. People they see a shiny thing, and I know it seems crazy, but
I've watched plenty of Russian, videos and how crazy people are and doing stupid stuff. So it's like, okay, let's watch this video again. This isn't gonna go right, and that's how some people think.
No offense to our Russians.
I don't need directions. It is funny though. It's like you get the old VCR, like only the kid knows how to program the VCR because they're the only ones that
I know
directions and stuff. And how do you use a Blu-ray player? Give it to the kid.
All right, I got to get these other 2 last people there because I got to wrap up. Thanks, Admiral. Okay, all right. Let me get Red Bear and then Togi, and then we're going to wrap it up for the day. Red, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
We had an interesting post here, huh?
Enjoy my post.
It's an interesting post, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, interesting indeed. Yeah, well, what I kind of meant is back in the days when we played World of Warcraft. The single player missions or the quest, and later on you found a group of people and you did dungeons with those, and longer again you did the raids, the 15 and the 25 and the 40 raid in the day, but that needed a lot of people, It was not you could do solo it. And back in the day, I saw the same complaints about, but I should be able to do this. And I think that's a really wrong thing of thinking, because you have things to do as a solo player in World of Warcraft back then, and I think that makes it also better for people to socialize, like we mentioned before. And I think yes, we shouldn't shut down the whole solo aspect, as I showed or talked about in this post, but people should know that if you, in my opinion, should make a good game, you should have like a progression with other people. So you adventure together in space to do your goals with your friends or make new friends. I mean, I don't think that's a wrong thing at all.
Yeah. I think you said something earlier. The phrase you said was, I should be able to.
Yeah.
And I've heard that used before in the game with players. And that is the one that bothers me when I hear that. I should be able to do blah, 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 blah. And, you know, unfortunately, this is when I talk about people bringing their experiences from other games into this game and saying that, you know, I can fly a Titan in Eve. Why can't I fly a Javelin in this game? Right. And I think people have to be careful with that. I know people who say, I would like to be able to do something, but should be able to do something takes it to a different space. Right. Part of it is also, we don't necessarily know where this is Kai's point earlier. We haven't seen the fully baked cake. We don't know what the technology, even they're developing some technologies is in games already, but there's some technology these people have talked about that we haven't seen anywhere before. And so we're counting on the possibility of them being able to create these certain things that might allow you to be able to do certain things in the game solo. There's no guarantee. There's no guarantee. And so we hope that they can do certain things. But I find it kind of funny too, Red, it's a weird balance, right? Because in games, there are things in games that you can do that you can't do in real life, right? Yeah. There's you know, we can fly, we can do triple flips when we kick, right? And we get into a fight, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then at the same time, we want the reality of life, right? We want the certain parameters of reality. And so, you know, if I'm just taking if I want to go out in my kayak or my canoe by myself, my rowboat, I could do that, right? Yes. Can I go get in a cruise ship and do it? You know, can I do that by myself? You know, in the real world, I wouldn't do that, right? But the game world, we want to be able to we want to be able to do that because it's a fantasy world, and I understand, but it's a dream. Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong. It's great to get into a game and take a big ship out by yourself. It is. There's a great feeling of doing it, right? But finding that balance between what is the fantasy dream and what is the reality of mechanics and physics and all this other stuff we want in the game. You know, we want all these reality things. This gun's shooting at such and such rate, and this ship is doing this such a turn at this degree. We want all that reality, but then we don't want the reality of you cannot fly a ship this big by yourself. And so trying to find where do you land in there to appease the players is a tough spot. Either we're going to be fantasy and let's throw out all the physics and let's throw out all the realities and gravity and oxygen minutes and all that. Or do we go reality and make it a complete simulation that makes us feel very restricted? And if, you know, and I can't dream the way I want to, you know, where do we land in there? I don't know where the landing point is. I'm saying CIG's got to figure out the landing point. You know.
Yeah, but that's why I mentioned World of Warcraft, because everybody knows it, and everybody knows how it goes at the first time when you get in.
Yeah,
the level 10 or something, then you just do the solo quest.
Yeah,
and then you prepare for dungeons.
Moving up.
Make sure you are prepared. You make potions. You make sure your sword has sharpened, the sharpening stone, if you remember.
Right.
All kind of that kind of stuff that you prepare for your upgrades for your next gear to go do raid.
Right.
And you do the same thing, but even more potions.
And progressing even more.
Yeah, it's the grinding in between then.
Yeah.
And I think they should have something of the kind for Star Citizen. Like say, okay, we have like 1 or 2 times a week. I don't know. You pick out the big guns and you do something, and the rest of the week you're gonna make sure you have restocked ammo. You do the refueling for the guys who are in the mining stuff, and then you have other people who do the cargo hauling or get the buy the spare parts. So with engineering, you have those fuses,
right,
and then repair canisters,
right,
salvaging, all that kind of stuff that can people do alone.
Yeah.
And then be prepared for this
When it's time to do something. Yep.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then they go back in.
Yep.
I mean, there's always something to do in
something to
Star
do
Citizen if you do it like this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm a big advocate for this kind of gameplay.
Okay. All right, Brett. Well, thank you for the post again, too, by the way. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right. Last but not least, we're going to bring in Togi. Mr. T.
What up?
There he is.
So I came into Star Citizen as a solo player. Star Citizen was the first MMO I ever played.
Okay.
Literally bought a computer. I had just enough money to buy a computer and buy an Aurora starter pack. I did not even have enough money to buy another game if I regretted buying, regretted my purchase.
Right.
And you know what? Playing solo, I 100% regretted it. I was just sitting there like, I have made a huge mistake.
Wow.
I didn't get it. I sucked at it. I was like, this is not the experience that I was expecting. And it wasn't until I got the courage to start asking questions in chat, and someone was like, I wish I remembered their name. Someone was like, hey, I'm going to pull a Hornet for you. We're going to go out and do some missions.
Yeah.
And after that, it clicked.
Wow.
And I think that as much as, solo players need to be catered to, because again, they spent their money and they deserve to play the game in the way that is, that they want to within the bounds of the development of Star Citizen. I think they also need to be willing to engage with the social aspects, because that's really where the core meat of any MMO is. That's its soul.
Yeah.
And so I went from a player that was only, and I mean only, interested in the solo aspects to co-running a Discord with 200 people. Wow. Between having, multiple groups of friends in multiple different places and fully embracing the social aspects that only MMOs provide.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough. Go ahead.
No. That was it.
No, I'm thank you for sharing that, because again, different people come to this project everybody doesn't come to this project for the same reasons, right? Some people saw a trailer. Some people heard about it from a friend. Some people heard about the scam thing. I mean, there's all these different ways people come to the game, and everybody who comes to the game with their history of gaming experience, and also their own desires for what they're looking for that's going to satisfy them in a game. Star Citizen is a weird animal. First of all, I'd probably say the bulk of people, one of the first things that grabs people are the visuals, right? We haven't even seen gameplay or anything, but there's something about the visuals that kind of draws people in. And then after that, it becomes, you start to learn a little bit about what the game is. It's a space genre game, and that opens up a zillion possibilities of what that means. But a lot of that is, and this is why I was mentioning earlier about people want to be able to do things the way they want, but sometimes it's an MMO. I mean, I'm not trying to, believe me, I'm not trying to bottleneck solo players. I played plenty of MMOs. There were plenty of games that I played by myself. I did missions, I did journeys, I did caves, I did dungeons, I did all types of stuff by myself. But it was, for the most part, it was always more enriching when I was in an MMO world with people. even playing something like Baldur's Gate 3. And I can talk about a game like Dragon Age. Dragon Age, you can play by yourself. You can control 4 characters. That's fine, and it's nice, but it's so much different when those other players are other people with personalities and unpredictableness and cooperativeness and figuring out conflict together. It's a different type of gameplay.
When I played Baldur's Gate 3, the first time I played through, I was like, wow, this game is great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I played through with a group of friends, and I was like, this game is legendary.
It's a different thing.
Just the amount of stupid crap that you could get into. And it's not just the game.
Right.
It's also the stupid crap that your friends do.
Right. It takes it to another place altogether. Yeah. So again, guys, thank you, Togi. Thank you for sharing that, because I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that you came in just literally with a solo thing and kind of felt like you hit a brick wall. That's something that I haven't heard. I've heard people be frustrated, but I never heard anybody actually get there and like, man, maybe this was not a good thing to do.
I really was thinking that I was going to regret it.
Wow.
And I was, sitting there and I was like, cool, I've got this, $1,700 computer and one game, and that I've been looking forward to for months. I mean, it literally took me a year to save up for that computer at the time.
Yeah.
And then I bought it and I was like, oh no. And then it just took one conversation in chat.
It changed everything. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, Togi. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Wonderful. You guys were so awesome today. Thank you for joining us for Solo MMO. Good conversations. Don't forget, all you shills, all you slaves, to get that referral code. If you weren't here for that part earlier, don't worry, you didn't miss anything. Let's talk about what we've got coming up next. Today is PodSat Saturday. This is our day where we have partnered with other folks in the Star Citizen community, other content creators, in particular Paul Shelley with the Captain's Table. He's on right now, and also with the guys from Relay who come on later this evening. Hopefully you guys can be able to check them out. We're going to, in fact, when we set up our raid, we will be sending you over to Paul's show. And it looks like Paul today has a couple of people on. I think he's got Axis, which is our good friend Zirin. And I can't see who this other person is he's got over there with him. He's got, Celine Star Dragon is on. Okay. So that's who we've got going on over there at the Captain's Table right now. So we're going to send you guys over there so you can hear some more great conversation about Star Citizen. Let's see. Also, tomorrow, the Soul Citizens will be talking about, our show is going to be titled Trade Secrets. We're going to be talking about trading. Now, I know you say, well, Griff, there's no real economy in the game. That is true. But believe it or not, there are people who do trading in this game. They're practicing. They're thinking of how trading will be in the future based upon what Star Citizen has told us so far, what CIG has told us. We know it can change, okay? But there are people who do trade runs right now. They do freight runs. They do all this great stuff. We're going to be talking about how it relates to both Star Citizen and then maybe some things that we've learned from other games about trade. Some people out there are really into this whole idea of being space moguls, right? I mean, they're not worried about the combat side and all that other stuff as much as they're worried about profitability, being able to set up factories or setting up a farm or whatever the case may be, selling commodities, all that good stuff, mining. We're going to be talking about trade on tomorrow. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that conversation. I think it will be a very, very good one. Okay, we are getting ready to sign off. Don't forget, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern time, Fast Card is on with Soul Talk, our our group roundtable conversation where you get to talk about what's going on in Star Citizen, in the community, ISC, SCL, all that good stuff. That's on Thursdays. So hopefully you guys will join Fast Card as well. But again, we're going to send you guys over to Paul Shelley. Thank you for everybody who stopped by today and stopped in and talked. Those of you who subscribed, especially, I think there were 2 people who gave us the 10 and the 5. Anybody who subscribed, thank you guys for the support. Financial support is always so great. We really, really appreciate you. And we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. May the 4th be with you. And tomorrow's Return of the 6th, the 5th, you get it. So enjoy this Star Wars weekend. And we'll see you guys later. Till then, take care. Peace, love, and soul. See you soon.